Welcome comrades, back to another Minecraft survival video. My name is Cobblestone. Welcome one and all back to the channel as we embark on another fascinating and great adventure in this Minecraft world that I have created. Today's episode is going to be one of laying the groundwork for the castle that I intend to build. This has been in the pipeline for quite a long time now, though it has, up until this point, up until this episode, remained in the abstract, and I have been unwilling to begin to challenge and tackle such an incredibly large project, logistically speaking, and one requiring a lot of blocks, and it's proved to be quite daunting for me, so I haven't even known where to start. It'll be my first time ever actually building a castle in survival, whether you can believe that or not. I built castles before, but I've only ever done it in creative mode. So yeah, this is going to come with a whole host of challenges that I will have to overcome, and it's going to require, projects like this require a large and quite extensive, exhaustive planning process, and one that not merely is a tick box ticking exercise, but I'm going to get to the nuts and bolts. So by the time that it comes around that I have to embark on this effort to make this castle, I'm going to have everything already well prepared. And before I do that, you might wonder why I am down here, and that is because I'm actually trying to gather a bunch of resources that I can bring up with me for the castle, because I know I have a lot of stones down here. Is there a glow squid in there? Yeah, there is. Oh, there are a couple. Huh, that's funny. I didn't know that. Maybe I could get them all at once, or I could just leave them and let them stack up there a moment. Yeah, I didn't know that there were glow squids that could just naturally spawn in water sources in the earth. I thought there was some other special condition that would summon them, but I'm surprised, and pleasantly surprised at that, to see the glow squid there. Yeah, I'm just going to be nabbing all of this stone here, indiscriminately pulling it into my inventory. Boy, I didn't actually realize how much that actually was. I'm kind of running low on stone up on the surface because I just recently built a bridge, and I'm also running low in the sense that the castle is going to require probably all of my resources as they stand. Well, definitely all, and then a lot more, probably triple or quadruple. This is not just going to be any castle, it's going to be an impressive castle. I'm not building just a sort of like manor house, something that doesn't provide that much protection, but you know, a lowly sort of, what would be the correct title in England that you'd expect to see, like, not obviously beneath a king. I'm thinking like a baron or a duke or a marquess or a count. Probably a count is accurate. That you'd expect a count to have something of a castle, but it's not that large of a castle, and it doesn't like have that commanding energy of which a great big king's castle does have, or not someone who's overseeing a kingdom, perhaps that's a bit too grand, but a prince or something of sorts, a duke. So it's going to be a duke's castle, and with a duke's castle comes a monumental effort. And I also, along the way, before I get started there, need a chestplate because my last one broke, as you can see, and I'm running around quite exposed, and I'm already beginning to come to realize that I will need to continue on my merry way with finding more diamonds. I'll have to go on a mining expedition soon. I'll probably do that off camera because I've already done a bunch of mining expeditions. Protection 4, let's... Yes, Unbreaking 3, that's exactly what I wanted. I did have the Protection 4 chestplate already, but it wasn't Unbreaking 3, so I couldn't have bear to see hit deplete before my eyes and lose such an important piece of protection. But there we go, it's managed to survive. And yeah, I have to also get started with smelting down a lot of this stone, which is going to require, you know, things that I don't necessarily have just yet. And what I mean by that is coal and all sorts of stuff. Anywho, I'm kind of getting a bit stuck here, thinking about all the tasks that I have at hand. But now that I have this chestplate, which is looking, might I say, fantastic, and I'm feeling very well protected and secure in myself, that I shouldn't be snuck up upon and die in a couple of hits, as I have previously when I was just wearing the iron chestplate. I am just about ready to go over. I might sleep beforehand, and the zombies are circling in, which is a sign for me to hopefully sleep if they don't tell me that I can't because there are monsters nearby. No, that was successful. Yeah, I'm gonna go over there now and take a look at the site. I'm gonna do the planning off camera, as I'm not merely going to be planning in this Minecraft world, but I'll probably be referring to something else. Now, ooh, I get another enchant, as you can see there. Oh, and another thing that I did was I saw some people online who had successfully created a sort of like a bank up along their river where it looks like the water meets the earth, the land, and of course the dirt around the river is quite saturated from the water flowing up and over it all day, and as a result of it, it looks hydrated. So I decided to play around with a few different styles of hydrating the riverbank, including by tilling the earth with the farmland here, and then the mud block. I've come to realize I probably prefer the hydrated farmland as opposed to the mud block, though I'll continue to look at that and think about it more. At least for now, I think it looks pretty good. Again, that remains to be seen as to what degree that I want to continue across the entire river to fill the sides and lay it with the appropriate amount of farmland. We see a lot of stone still in these chests. I'm actually looking for wood and whether I have any chests here, which I do not have. Why did I take the lapis lazuli with me? Oh well, not the biggest issue. Yeah, I want to take a bunch of chests out with me so I can just throw the stone there into those chests and not have it cluttering everything back at the house, which it's more or less doing at the moment. I have stone disparately sprawled across the world, but I would like to keep it in one consolidated position. And I thought, where is the most efficacious place for me to store my stone? And that is where it will be put to use in the shortest time frame, which is out here by the castle. The castle that doesn't exist, but shall soon exist. And I'm not going to have this like stretch multiple episodes, because that would be frustrating, I think, for a lot of people if I just never got around to building it, or the project really dragged on. There are a bunch of other things that I want to do in this world, besides just building a super awesome castle that's quite large and imposing, but has a presence, and not one really of practicality. It's more the purpose of having something of exceptional form in this Minecraft world. But that's just one project among many. And it's not that important. Like, I need to go to the nether. I still haven't gotten elytra yet, stuff that I want to do on camera, but it's going to take me a bit of time. And I want to be prepared when the opportunity arises so I can seize it with both hands and not merely have it as a point like last time where I was quite underprepared and I lost my life and my pride in the process, and as a result. I've also given a lot of thought to whether I want to terraform more in this world, and whether I'm going to bring in, I think it's called Axiom, which is a third-party mod that enables you to terraform easier outside of the bounds of vanilla Minecraft. And that would not, I don't want to say cheating, because it doesn't really enhance my ability to play the game. It's purely cosmetic that I'd be bringing it in, and it'd be cutting a lot of corners as it wouldn't require me to build mountains myself. But again, I haven't really decided whether that's something I'm going to do. Perhaps it will, perhaps it won't be. Yeah, maybe if anyone in the comment section wants to let me know whether it's permissible to use mods like that to create terrain for your world, or whether that's kind of a no, and it's more something to be condemned. I don't know about how many survivalists I've seen do that before. A lot of people on survival, their worlds, they seem to have very interesting terrain that obviously isn't organically generated by Minecraft. But they must have used custom survival worlds when they initially downloaded the game, which, you know, it's fair enough. That obviously isn't cheating, but then there are also a lot of other people I see have impressive mountains. I know the F-Whip, I think his name's Flip or F-Whip. He's very popular Minecraft survival YouTuber. He does the hardcore thing. He builds his own mountains. Maybe he doesn't build all of them, but I've certainly seen him go block by block building a gigantic snow-capped mountain before, and it's very impressive. But the degree of dedication required to do such a feat, yeah, I don't know whether it's the best use of his time. Not, I'm passing judgment on it. I don't know why, but it just seems like building a mountain from hand. It's a big effort, and I don't know if I have that in me in survival. I can barely build a home, but I'm certainly making good progress, and with this castle, I hope to prove my building abilities. I really want this to be impressive, and something that not merely kind of defines this survival world, but defines my channel and proves my abilities to build. I think my house is not terrible. I actually like the design, and it's weird how I arrived upon it because I didn't plan the design, and it really came quite organically. But I do like how it ended up, and particularly the base itself is starting to come along, and slowly through time I'm improving it. But it's not anything that's exemplary. It's not a standout. It's certainly not that impressive as far as the scale of it is concerned. It's not like someone will look at that house and go, boy, how did that person build that? I could never hope to build something with that gravity and resonance. It is something that looks very achievable, albeit impressive, but achievable. So with this castle, I hope to have something that is a little less achievable and makes you think that it's more of a feat of the game of Minecraft and genuinely inspires and impresses and moves. And this is the site of the castle. This is the seat of where these great stone houses, this fort, shall reside. I'm going to be borrowing from a lot of things that I see and resources online. It's not merely going to be something that I fashion from my imagination. Game of Thrones in particular, I've built castles similar to those of Game of Thrones before. Castles are one of those things that it requires a big effort, and you have to be very dedicated and diligent with how you approach it. So I'm hoping not to overwhelm myself, but nothing short of Game of Thrones energy is the goal. And, you know, perhaps I can build it, like, in a compartmentalized, like, phased approach. So I kind of build one tower at a time, almost, and one building, and my mouse is glitching out there. We're back. Yeah, kind of build it in phases, so it's not like one big unitary build, and that will enable me to adjust the scale appropriately. A keen observer will already see that there is a great big column. One of the towers has already been erected, and in as recent as the last scene, there was absolutely nothing there. That is because, unfortunately, the file that I'd created of me marking out the rough draft in cobblestone of where I wanted each of the important buildings to sit corrupted, or it didn't quite work correctly. I think it had something to do with how I saved the flashback mod file itself, but that's okay because you can see here in the background what I had intended things to look like. And I'm already getting started on the second tower here. And then as well, you can see just beneath me, there is a terrible war being fought between the alpacas and the zombies that unfortunately saw victory for the zombies. Rest in peace to those alpacas. I was just rewatching the recording then and thought how funny that was, seeing that they're fighting with one another. It was Benjamin Franklin who said in life, only two things are certain, and that is death and taxes. Well, I would like to add a third field to Benjamin Franklin's quote and say that it is my file corrupting as well that is also certain, because there have been so many times so far in this series where important information has been lost due to technology. Anywho, here we go. Yeah, so I have that first column there. I intend to make it quite symmetrical, and I'm going to copy and paste that exact thing on the other side there, on the right of the screen. Of course, not copy and paste using any sort of like building mod or function, but I'm just going to construct the exact same thing twice on the other side. I'm coming to realize that perhaps this entire thing isn't large enough, and the castle is looking quite compact already and concentrated. Everything's on top of itself, which for a castle I suppose makes sense because you want it to be fortified. However, I don't think it quite has the right harmony with the area, and I could look to expand it a bit more, so that's something I'm going to be thinking about. And you'll see this as I pull back in a moment here. You'll see the entire thing. But I'm happy with how it's beginning to take shape. Obviously, we're in a very rudimentary construction phase, so don't take anything too seriously. It is liable to chop and change as I come along. And scaffolding as well, it's proved very useful for me. I've been using everything to scaffolding for everything to try and scale to certain heights, and without it, I wouldn't even know how to be able to manage. I think it's quite a recent block, but it's proved to be very functional. Well, evidently progress has been made. No one can deny that. How much progress I've made is another story, and that is something I ought to address because I really haven't made too much of a dent, or at least the dent that I would like to have made so far. I've almost expended all of my stone, and this is how much I've done. I have a visitor though. At least someone has come to give me company, and of course we saw his llamas, or the alpacas actually, I think that's what the correct term for the mob is, unfortunately died in that bitter battle overnight, but I think I can get 2 emeralds out of him because he is trading water bottles for whatever reason. So fantastic. Yeah, what I'm going to do now is go and collect as much stone as I possibly can, and a little creeper visited me there, which is just wonderful. It inflicted not even the slightest amount of damage upon me, and it destroyed the wall and the ground. In very typical creeper fashion, they love to cause a major nuisance. I've also, very loosely scratched out on the earth a path home, because each time I would kind of wander some way back in this direction, and I would never seem to take the shortest approach to get back here. I would be wandering aimlessly sometimes. Not to say that I would get lost, but I would always take a path that was not the most expeditious one, and it would lead me into inefficiencies. So that's why I have that tilled earth there. Yeah, I haven't been back home in a while. I've been focused so much on the castle. And what I'll need is a pickaxe. I think I'm going to be using my Silk Touch pickaxe for this job. And really, for all intents and purposes, I have a mind to just go to town. I might even use the pickaxe up until the point that it breaks. Yes, I know, oh yeah, I have a chicken in here as well now. I thought that things were getting lonely and there wasn't enough variety in the bird species, so I introduced a little chicken, and I threw an egg down and then just so happened to hatch a chicken. Oh, well, this is where I usually keep my stone, but of course it's been cast away, and then my tough block in here as well. I don't think there's going to be an opportunity to interweave cobbled deep slate into the castle. I did think about perhaps putting it onto the roof, but then I gave it second thought, as I don't want it to look too much of like a dark gothic castle in that light, and if you're introducing the color black to things, it very quickly changes the proposition. Now, where is this pickaxe? I think I might have left it down in the mines, which is fair enough, and I'm going to go down there and investigate, unless I can think that it might be somewhere up here. Oh, no, okay, yeah, here it is. I'm going to be taking these 2 with me. Yeah, I'm going to be gathering a serious amount of stone. I'm not kidding there. This is going to be quite impressive. You might mistake me for a madman with how much I intend to gather. I want to put a lot of this stuff away in the chest so that I'm not thinking about it while I'm down there, including those sticks. I can keep that. Guess I won't need the hoe. Look at all these pickaxes lined up. I've already broken a diamond pickaxe or two, I think. So this won't be the first couple that I do break. And, you know, who knows? Maybe I don't break them. Maybe it so happens that I decide to exercise a bit of restraint in how much the pickaxe that I'm willing to use. But I'm going to do so. Oh, yeah, and I have also constructed this little narrow bridge here, which I actually really like. It's a stone bridge. Wasn't entirely sure how to do it. It kind of took me a few goes to get something that I like. But yeah, there it is. And it also serves a very practical function, as I can get to this side of the world, crossing this narrow ravine here without having to risk my life and limb, or take a really long way around. Alright, well, I've kind of found my way down a bit further than I'd hoped. There's stone up there, but I found tuff, and I think I was going to town on this tuff quite a while ago, but I'm going to continue here because it is proving to be a pretty nice vein, and it's plentiful by way of a block that is quite important to the build. You know, it's not stone, but I'm laying the groundwork of the castle in tuff, and I'm going to do that right the way around, basically every single build. I really like how this complements with cobblestone. Previously, I would use cobblestone as the base gradient, or the darkest gradient at the dark end of the spectrum, and then I'd work my way up from there. But with the introduction of tuff, and its now widely adopted use by a lot of other builders, I think it's very difficult to go past. And it's one of those blocks that I didn't really think too much of until you see other people using it. And then you really begin to develop a mind for how it could be used. And there's nothing wrong with borrowing and taking inspiration from other builders. That's kind of how art works. You will never ever find someone who is celebrated in a field of art. You know, whether that's Minecraft building or stuff of all different mediums. Who hasn't in some way been inspired by those who have come before them and their masters. You know, it takes a bit of teaching and sharing of knowledge and wisdom in order to begin to cultivate the skill of whatever artistic interest that takes your flavor. So that's what I'm doing here. I wasn't the first person to use tuff. Probably wouldn't have used it had I not seen other people use it. But now that I have, it's something that has left quite an indelible imprint upon my mind, and I'm not willing to let it go or stop thinking about it. I'm very glad to have tuff in my build, and I'm already getting right along the way with how much I've been able to collect here. Honestly, as I said, like, I'm genuinely going to continue to dig out the Earth's surface and collect as much stone as I possibly can, just because I don't want to have to keep taking these trips. And anytime you're collecting a block for a build that you have in mind, it's always the case that you underestimate how much you'll need as opposed to overestimate. It is infrequent that you see people overestimating the amount of a certain block that they'll need, and it's certainly not tuff that is the only thing I'll be needing, but it is one of the more important blocks that I will be needing. So I'm happy to be here, digging it out, putting in the hard yards. And certainly once I get started using the efficiency 4 pickaxe, I'll have a bit of an easier time. It'll go quicker. Oh boy, that was tough, but it seems that I have mined out every single block that I can see, and I only have a couple of cobble deep slate that I had accidentally mined in the process. And you can see here, I mean, if I had a before and after, you'd be impressed. One ought to be impressed by how much I've mined there, and I'm going to have to go up to the surface, or at least to my little cave here, and put some of this stuff away. Actually, I could put a chest in a minecart and kind of move it up that way in increments, which is increasingly sounding like a pretty good idea to me, but I don't want to have to do that just yet, because I want to continue with the progress that I am making. I'm on a roll right now. I'm honestly just like switching off entirely as I mindlessly mine away at the stone in question. And I'm not going to be able to get too deep here, as I need to be able to access the stone without the cobble deep slate getting in the way, which is what it is doing so far. So I'm not even going to look too much further. I might just like mine off in this direction. Whether that's for good or that's for ill, who can tell, really? I want to get a bit further away from the area that I have built out there, so that I don't have any mobs spawning in, or I don't create some gigantic crevice that is going to be the bane of my existence. And I did intend on actually expanding that room out a little bit, so maybe that's a good idea, that I give it a bit more attention and a bit more love. And, in the process I could collect a bit of stone as I go along. I'm just thinking, I'm kind of rambling a bit at this point. I mean, what else is this channel but rambling? I've always described it as a sort of second monitor type style of content that I produce. And I think that's for good reason. I don't think that having these really long videos of playing Minecraft Survival have to be for your primary monitor. They might be for your primary monitor, and I would be humbled if that were the case, but more the rambling and the gameplay, it's something that you can put on in the background and hopefully do a primary activity. Oh, I threw my pickaxe there. Do a primary activity while you watch. And I'm also getting andesite in the process here, which is great. Andesite, stone, cobblestone, of course. Oh yeah, I'm going to start using my Silk Touch pickaxe on the stone so I don't have to smelt it down. The smelting process is a bit annoying, especially if you want to get cracked stone bricks. It takes not merely smelting it once, twice, but 3 times I think it is. Because it's the stone. Yeah. Or maybe it's only twice. Maybe it is only twice. I'm telling a bit of a lie there. And what is this that I've mined into? Oh yeah, I'm getting closer to my spider spawner. It seems that is okay. I think this is a good time to depart. I've done a lot of mining so far. I intend to do a lot of mining off camera and make more progress on the castle, which I shall do by the next episode. I think this is going to be a 3 or 4 part series, building this castle, and I like building. I don't think I've done enough building in this series, so I'm very glad to kind of make it a bit more of, like, put it in the focus, but as a focal point of the subjects of each of these episodes, and it's going to be a centerpiece. This castle, I'm already it's taking shape in my mind at least, if the physical progress before your eyes isn't as impressive as it could be. But I'm beginning to see, how much that I'm going to enjoy the journey and the challenge that it's going to present, and what I'll be able to produce. I'm very excited to see. As well, I'm beginning to think that it's actually not big enough. There is that primary area that I built out that is encased with the cobble plan that I have so far. I don't know what the sort of sketching of each of the builds, how they'll come together. But it's not that large, and it could quickly add up because I intend to make it quite high. So with that, maybe I'll be able to move horizontally and make an expansion, make it a bit wider, and not necessarily have it as this really dense castle. And so this is a good opportunity to try and collect a bit of flint, because I am out of arrows already in the building process. It comes night very quickly, and I'm never prepared by bringing a bed, so the phantoms come after me, and I'm firing indiscriminately into the air, hoping to hit them, and very often missing, because those things are good at tucking and weaving. Anyway, thank you for watching, comrades. I hope to see you in the next episode. Thank you, good evening, and good night.